The Clockmaker's Secret. Detective Eleanor Graves had always thought of Amberfield as the sort of English village where time hesitated, where decades seemed to settle like dust on the roofs and hedges. Nothing ever changed except the shades of green in the surrounding hills. So when the telephone beside her breakfast tray rang at 7:30 on a rainy Tuesday morning, she felt a strange pinch of foreboding. Inspector Mallory's voice crackled through the receiver. "Graves? Sorry to disturb you. We've had a rather odd death. Thought you'd want a look." Eleanor straightened, her interest instantly awakened. Odd in what sense? There was a pause, too short to be hesitation, too long to be accidental. "Mr. Alistair Harrow. The Clockmaker." Eleanor raised an eyebrow. Harrow was a name well known even outside Amberfield. A quiet man, a widower, and one of Britain's most respected restorers of antique timepieces. "And," she asked, "he was found dead this morning in his workshop. Door locked from the inside. No sign of struggle. No obvious cause. A locked room." Eleanor felt a spark of curiosity. "I'll be there within the hour." Amberfield's High Street was still glistening with rain when Eleanor arrived. The clockmaker's shop stood at the far end, its windows crowded with brass pendulums and gleaming cogs. Warm lamplight usually glowed inside, but this morning the shop looked dim and abandoned. Inspector Mallory met her at the door, hat in hand. "Morning, Graves. Nasty business." He led her through the shop into the workshop behind it. A faint scent of machine oil hung in the air, mixed with something metallic, not blood, she realized, but old tools and sharpened gears. Alistair Harrow lay slumped over his workbench, spectacles still perched on his nose. His expression was curiously peaceful, as though he had drifted into sleep mid-task. At his elbow lay a half-assembled pocket watch. Eleanor examined his hands. No bruises. No defensive marks. His teacup stood untouched beside him, the tea inside cold. "Locked from the inside," she confirmed. Mallory nodded. "Bolt slid. Windows latched. No other entrance." She studied the room with her usual precision. Nothing seemed out of place, each tool was arranged neatly, each tiny spring in its drawer. Yet something was wrong. A strange ticking echoed unevenly. She followed the sound to a tall mahogany grandfather clock against the far wall. Its pendulum swung in a jerky, disrupted rhythm. "This clock is not wound correctly," she murmured. Mallory frowned. "Meaning?" Harrow would never leave a mechanism in such a state. He was a perfectionist. Eleanor opened the clock's front panel. Inside, where weights and chains should have hung, there lay a torn scrap of paper, wedged unnaturally deep between the gears. She carefully extracted it. The scrap was small, browned at the edges, as though torn hastily from an old letter. Written on it were 3 words, scrawled in hurried ink. "The 5th chime." Eleanor felt a chill press against her spine. "What does that mean?" Mallory asked. "I'm not sure," Eleanor admitted. "But I doubt Mr. Harrow placed it here himself. Someone wanted it hidden, yet found." Mallory exhaled slowly. "A message, then?" "Or a warning," Eleanor replied. She slipped the scrap into an evidence envelope. As she sealed it, she noticed something else, faint marks on the floor near the clock. Not scratches, but tiny indentations, as though something heavy had been dragged only slightly, then put back. She looked around the room once more, her mind assembling silent possibilities. If this was a simple death, the scene would feel still, resolved. Instead, it hummed with tension, like an unwound spring waiting to snap. Eleanor straightened. "This was no accident," she said quietly. "Someone orchestrated this." Mallory stared at her. "But who would murder a harmless clockmaker?" Eleanor looked again at the torn scrap of paper, at those 3 cryptic words. "That," she answered, "is the question. And I fear the answer lies buried far deeper than we think." Behind her, the uneven ticking suddenly stopped.
Eleanor Graves, Personal Notes, Tuesday evening. I have returned from Amberfield with the persistent sense that today's investigation marked only the beginning of a larger, far more intricate puzzle. Harrow's workshop remains vivid in my mind, the faint smell of oil, the meticulous arrangement of tools, the curious stillness that lingered even after we removed the body. It was as though the room itself held its breath. What troubles me most is the absence of chaos. Death, especially sudden and unnatural death, usually leaves its own disorder. Yet Harrow sat as though gently interrupted mid-thought. No forced entry, no marks of violence. A locked room, every detective's favorite riddle, though I confess it is rarely as elegant as it first appears. The irregular ticking of the tall clock continues to gnaw at me. A man like Harrow would never tolerate such mechanical impropriety. That simple inconsistency feels more revealing than any wound might have. And then there is the scrap of paper, the fifth chime. Hastily written, deliberately hidden. A message. A clue. A threat. I cannot yet decide. Mallory seems unsettled, though he masks it with procedural calm. He senses, as I do, that Harrow's death was orchestrated with precision. Whoever arranged that room wanted us to believe in accident, just not entirely. Something has shifted in quiet Amberfield. I intend to discover what and why.
Thank you so much for watching today's video. I really hope it helped you practice your English and learn something new. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the next lesson. I'd also love to hear from you, so share your thoughts in the comments below. Your support means a lot and helps this channel grow. See you again in the next video.